Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to do an update video on my fall winter garden. So this is what my fall winter garden looks like. As of today, we are just in early October, and as you can see, I have some spinach, beets, and two varieties of carrots that I started in August. I'm trying to get them to a state of maturity where you're at least going to get some nice carrots, a few nice sized beets. I've already been harvesting the spinach a couple times, which is great. But the whole kind of idea here is to be able to get them to maturity before we get to those short days of sunlight, which is coming probably by the end of October, early November. So I have this wonderful cold frame slash grow box that's insulated. It's got the glass top. I've been putting my plants in there in the evenings when it gets cold and we're dropping below freezing, which has protected them. I just propped the window open just a little bit at night just to keep it a little bit airflow, a little bit cool, because it hasn't been getting real cold. But we're getting to the point now where it's going to be dropping below freezing for several hours during the evening. So I just kind of have to monitor this a little bit closer to see whether I need to close the box completely at night. Make sure I get out here and open it because it's going to get very warm in there during the day. So I just want to show you up close how the growth is going here for my carrots. So again, like I said, I planted these early August and I got two varieties here. I got a baby mokum and I think the other one is little finger. They both are like the shortest growth period varieties so that, they grow quickly. One problem that I can see here now is I got this way too thick. I was just kind of doing a little check around here, see if you can see in there. I got them. I would like to thin them out, but I'm just going to pull one out just to get an idea of how big these are. This is the little finger. As you can see, they are definitely little, not really ideal size yet for harvesting. So I think if I'm going to try and get these carrots any bigger, I'm going to have to go in and just thin out some of the little ones here. We can use these greens for cooking. We've got pigs down the road at my daughter's farm that I can feed them to. But I think a little thinning right now, and then hopefully these will have a little more space to grow bigger. This is the baby mokum ones, and they were a lot thinner simply because I didn't have as much seed, so it kind of worked out okay. So I'm just going to pull one up to see how they are doing size-wise. Grab one that looks like it might be a decent size. I'll pull one from the middle here. Try to kind of thin them out too, so I like to pull one that's close to another one that kind of naturally thins them out. Okay, so that's not too bad. It's a decent little size, little snacking carrot. So again, I am just watering. I've given them a bit of fertilizer a few weeks ago. I'll probably give them another one and thin these carrots out to see how that helps with the growth. For the beets here, try to give you a visual, but you can see they're starting to bulb up a little bit. Assuming you can see that. I probably have a dozen or so growing in this container, so it's not a whole lot, but I'm hoping that I can just let them keep growing in size and then put them into the cold frame once we get to those cold days, cold nights. Keep them refrigerated, so to speak, in the cold frame and then harvest them as needed. So that's hopefully going to go well. And again, the spinach, like I said, I've harvested off of it a couple times. I just come around, pinch off some leaves, add it to my cooking, my salad. I've had some in soups. I've had some in a salad. So that's been a nice fall garden plant to have. One thing that did not work out was my kale, and that was simply because it got attacked by some worms and it got eaten right down to the stem. I had a nice little crop here and it is starting to come back, but I don't think I'm going to get enough to to get a good harvest off this year, but that was disappointing because I understand kale can be really tasty after a frost, and it's a really good type of green to grow in a fall winter garden. So, if I do this again next year, I will try kale again. So as I mentioned, we are getting to the period of time where we only are going to be getting limited amounts of sunlight during the day, which means your plants will not grow. It's kind of that 10 hours a day or higher that we need to grow vegetables and plants in our climate here successfully. So by the end of October, we are probably going to be running out of that time. So I really want this to be as mature as possible. So now I'm just trying to decide whether pulling these out into the sunlight during the day, as opposed to leaving them in here with the lid closed or partially closed where they'll get a lot of heat, which one is going to be more beneficial for that growth during the day. So that's something I'm going to test out here over the next couple weeks. We are getting into, like I said, colder days and longer periods of freezing during the night. Hey guys, if you haven't already done so, I'd love to invite you to our community gardeners growing together. So fall and winter gardening is one of the hot topics we are discussing amongst ourselves inside the community. So you can come into the chat, ask questions, share pictures, share videos, and we are all kind of doing this together, which is a great thing inside our community. And as the year goes on, we move on to something else. We are gardening year round. So if you want to get a copy of my year-round gardening planner, it's absolutely free when you join our free community, Gardeners Growing Together. So I'll leave a link in the description box below, and I hope to see you inside our community. So taking these in and out of this cold frame morning and night is not really ideal either. Sometimes in the morning I don't want to come out here and have to worry about doing it, or I have to go to work, so sometimes you might forget. So I think I'm probably just going to keep these in the cold frame. It will get very warm in here if I close this lid completely. As you can see right now, I have it totally open, but I'm just wondering if closing it partially so there is some airflow. So doing something like this, it will get lots of heat. So I think moving forward now into the next few weeks, I will just keep this open during the day when it's sunny so it can maximize on sunlight. In the evenings, come out and just close it, leave a little bit of airflow in there. And then when we hit into November, when things are starting to get really cold, we will look at, keeping it closed completely at night. But it's going to be just kind of a daily as we go kind of process. As I said, this is my first time doing a fall/winter garden. I got my thermometer in here, keeping track of the temperature. So it's something that you have to kind of closely monitor to make sure that you don't overheat your plants, stress them out, as well as protect them from the cold. So let me know in the comments, are you a cold climate gardener who is trying fall gardening? Maybe you are been doing this for a few years and have lots of tips to share. Please do so in the comments. Let me know what you're growing, and keep watching for more updates on my fall and winter gardening coming to the channel.